Oh, yeah.
Good evening and welcome. Today is May 19th, 2021. This is the City of Anderson Board of Architecture Review meeting. Jeff, agenda?
I do not have anything else to add tonight. I just have one comment. There is an agenda item for approval of the minutes. The minutes were not ready yet, so we'll just roll that over into being approved next month.
Okay. Continuing into the public hearing. 2113, we have a sample.
As of this moment, the applicant is not present. I did try to email her today to remind her of the meeting and remind her of the need for a sample. I did not hear anything back. So if it is the pleasure of the board, I say we send that to the bottom of the agenda for now and proceed with item number 2.
Okay. Item number 2 is 2119.
The applicant is requesting approval to change the paint colors on our house. Now, the property is a single-family residence located at 2205 Hunter Drive in the North Anderson Historic District. As you can see, the house is currently painted white with white trim and black shutters. The applicant is proposing to repaint the house in one of 2 possible color schemes. And I'll pass it around because the colors don't show well on here. Color choice 1 includes the dark blue house with white trim and shutters and a green front door. The color choice 2 would include the lighter blue house with white trim and shutters and a yellow front door. Let me pass these around to you so you can see a little better. The actual color change. So what she's seeking to do is also, let's see, be the house, and then there's a carport, garage type structure on the lot, which would also be painted that same color scheme as the house. When reviewing this application, the board should focus on the standards set forth in Chapter 3, which are for rehabilitation of historic resources. The section regarding original materials applies here. The policy states to preserve primary historic building materials whenever feasible. Using the historic color scheme is encouraged. Base or background colors should be muted, and reserve the use of bright colors to accent building features only. The board must determine if the proposed change meets the guidelines listed above. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have for staff, and the applicant is present tonight as well.
Okay. It doesn't mention anything about the color of the porch or the front steps.
So the porch and the front steps.
The front steps would remain as they are. The porch, the body of the porch would be blue, and the trim would be white, and in the darker color scheme, the door would be a pale green.
And so at this point, there's not a preference. She's asking for an either-or approval on the 2 color schemes.
I prefer option 1.
Okay.
Prefers option 1. Comments?
See it again. I don't know if somebody wanted to see it again.
Comments?
I like option 1.
Like option 1? Option 1?
Can we see the garage again, please? The garage, Jeff, can we see that again? Just wanted to... Okay.
I'm just going to be painting the exterior.
Right.
Really not much.
Yeah, there. I just sort of trying to get a feel for it.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
I
Motion from Jill.
I thought she was too.
So that motion would be for either,
Either one?
We like number 1 too. We also like number 1.
Everybody also likes number 1, option 1.
Thank you very much.
Be a great improvement to the neighborhood.
You need a second?
We have a second from Andy.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
you're good.
Okay. BAR 2120. Did I skip one?
Mm-mm.
The applicant is requesting approval for a new fence at 414 Central Avenue. The property is a single-family residence in the North Anderson Historic District. The property is currently partially fenced with chain link and wood fencing. You have some chain link here, chain link along this side here. There was wood fencing here, which you can see being replaced. In this photo, there was a tree issue and the fence got pulled up, and so it's being replaced in kind. And the new fence would extend from the end of this that you see here down, further down. And so the new wood fence, it's a little hard to see on here, but the blue line here, so coming from the side of the house to the side property line, down the back, down to this back corner, and then there's an existing chain link fence which runs along here that would remain. So the new, and it's the shadow box style fence here, so it's kind of the board on board that looks the same from both sides. That's what's being replaced here that you saw in the photos, and then that would extend further down again, down those two sides. And there would be a gate here in a similar style to the rest of the fence. It would be 6 feet in height. When reviewing this application, the board should focus on the standards set forth in Chapter 5, Site Design. The section regarding fences and site walls applies here. The policy states that a fence or site wall should be in character with those used traditionally and relate to the principal structure on a lot. It says, preserve original fences and site walls. Where no fence exists, keeping the yard open may be the best approach for a front yard. Where a new fence is needed, it should be similar in character with those seen historically. Appropriate materials for fences that can be seen from the public right-of-way are wrought iron or wood picket, and a side yard fence should be set back from the primary facade of a home. The board, once again, must decide the proposed improvements meet the above criteria. I'm happy to answer any questions you have for staff, and the applicant is present tonight as well.
It's clearly a nice-looking fence. Follows our guidelines and goes back from the house and across the back. It's not intruding past the front of the house. Is it going to be painted or stained? Or remain
Stained.
be stained? What color?
It'll be a darker brown.
Dark brown?
I think right now.
Comments, questions?
Seems appropriate for, I move that we approve.
We have a motion to approve. Second from Andy. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. That was easy, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. BAR 2122.
The applicant is seeking approval to demolish an existing storage building on the property at 417 Westview Avenue in the North Anderson Historic District. And the property is a single-family residence. On the back of the property, there's a leaning storage building, which you can see. I think a hard wind or a good shove would send it over after being out there to look at it. So they're seeking to remove the existing storage building to make way for a new storage building on the property. Now, the The new structure would be 12 by 20. You have this in your packet. So the new structure would be approximately 12 by 20 with hardy board siding and a metal roof. Colors of the siding and the roof would match those on the house. It's very different than the building that's out there now. The intended use is essentially half for storage and half for a gardening room for the two people who live there. And so you can see left side elevation, the right side elevation. Here they have large windows because this will be the section where they're having the plant materials inside and to work in a garden area that's right outside here. Front elevation here, and then the rear elevation here. So again, 12 by 20 with storage, and then a garden room here with all the windows here.
Is it approximately the same size as the other building?
I believe it is. It would be standing in the same spot as the existing one. Actually, I think it might be just slightly closer to Edgewood. Actually, we'll pull it off the property line. I believe it's too close to the property line now for our current zoning standard. So this would move it at least 3 feet off of that side property line. When reviewing this request, the board should focus on the standards set forth in Chapter 3 of the Residential Design Guidelines. That's for rehabilitation of historic resources. And then Chapter 5, Site Design. The following sections apply to this request. The first portion here deals with the demolition section. I won't read through all of those, as we're familiar with that. And then in terms of the new building, policy states that an accessory structure should be similar to those seen historically, should be located to the rear of a lot, should be subordinate to the primary structure. The accessory structure should be similar in character to those seen traditionally, and should maintain the traditional range of building materials on accessory structures. Again, the board must determine if proposed change meets the above guidelines. Happy to answer any questions you have for staff. I do not believe the applicant is present for this item tonight.
Okay, maybe need to break this into two sections, the demolition and then the new building structure. It's clear the existing building's in bad shape. A lot more expensive, most likely, to repair that, to try to save it, than it would be to replace it. Do we have any comments or questions on it? Nope. We have a motion to approve demolition.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A motion from Andy to approve the demolition. Second?
I'll second.
Second from Moyer. All those in favor of the demolition? Aye.
Be opposed.
Opposed?
It is listed as a contributing structure on the, I understand the condition, but that's,
It's, when you're opposed to it?
I am.
So we have one opposed. And the rest is approval, so it carries. All right, now, the new structure. Approximately the same size.
Is there a reason for the two different styles of windows?
I think the larger windows here go with the gardening side of it. So she wants more light
Okay.
in there to be able to work on the plants. And so these windows would be on the gardening side with the large windows here. This side here is the storage part, and so it doesn't need as much light and visibility into it as her other part.
Do they have exterior grids, those two small windows?
I believe the ones that are shown here without grids are intended to not have any grids, and then this should be an exterior grid
On the two small?
on those that have that, yes.
Jeff, do you have a picture of the house with the garage or the structure? I can't imagine what you would would be able to see.
Well, no, I have them together in the same picture.
We need that.
So the house is basically here. And then this structure sits behind it. So if you're standing, this is what you see, the building is right over here, and then this is the side of the house here that you would look at.
So,
Which side is the front?
This is the back of the house. So you have Edgewood Avenue on this side, the front of the house faces Westview. So this would be the rear of the house, and then the building sits back here, the corner lot.
oh, it's visible from the street or not visible? That's what I'm trying to.
Is it visible from the street?
Yes. Yes. So if you were, basically, this is what you would see looking at it from Edgewood. I'm inside the yard a little bit, but it's very visible from the road.
Go back and show the windows again, please.
Yeah, I don't know about this whole thing.
Here we have 2/1 in the small windows. And on the house,
Six.
is it 6/1?
Yes, I'm showing it as 6/1.
6/1. Your thoughts on that?
So that will, if that is approved, we'll have 3 different styles of windows.
3 different styles, yes.
Right.
Let's see if she can modify that to 6/1 for those 2 small windows, maybe.
I can't hear you.
Maybe she could modify that for 6/1 windows instead of 2/1.
Yeah, we can certainly put that forward. So,
Mhm.
With exterior grids.
With exterior grids, yes. So,
just for clarification then, on this window here, you'd be talking about 6/1,
and that, yes,
Yeah.
and this window here,
yes.
are you okay with these windows being, because of the purpose for the room, are you okay with those being solid glass?
Is there an issue with that for anybody?
The doors are solid glass, so probably.
So nobody has an issue with the
So
solid
this-
glass panes?
I'm still a little bit confused. This is what's facing,
That's the front elevation, that faces the street, right? Front elevation is what faces the street?
Let's see here.
I believe your rear elevation is gonna face the street, it's likely she's gonna want the double doors facing
Right.
back.
that's what I was trying to
Well,
say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I'm trying to remember my conversation with her now. So I think this section here faces your house.
My house.
Your house. So this would face opposite Westview. And so the right side elevation would face to the rear of the property because this would let out her garden area right here.
Okay.
And so this is what you would see from Edgewood, what they're calling the front elevation. And then the larger windows are right here on this corner facing the garden area back here.
Why wouldn't these have grids on them?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And so
Yeah. Those-
this side would face the back of the house, and then this side would face the side property on Westview.
Go back to the front elevation. Right here.
So this is what would face Edgewood.
This is what's concerning us, is that these 2 windows facing Edgewood do not have grids to match what's in the house.
I don't think the grids are gonna make the light any different.
I don't,
No.
no, that's not
Yeah.
gonna change that.
It's not gonna change the light in there.
What the board can do, if that's really the only hangup, what the board can do then is approve it with those 2, and then the other 2 smaller windows as double hung windows with 6/1 grids. And then if she would like to request something other than that, she can come back on the same application to discuss it in further detail.
And you said this structure is similar in size or almost made
Yes.
exact, okay.
Right.
Okay, so Jeff is suggesting is that we can possibly approve this with the 6/1 grids on the two smaller windows and adding the grids, exterior grids, to the front elevation 2 windows. Is that right?
Right.
Any more comments?
Does she have to come back before the board for that?
As long as she agrees to that change in the approval, you can approve it that way. And then what would happen is if she decides that she wants to do something different than that, we would let her come back on the same application at a subsequent meeting.
Thoughts on that?
That's an improvement.
That's an improvement.
You're going to see the part with are those doors or large windows that face my
I
yard?
think they're doors. It'll be like open
That,
doors,
that
basically.
area is very wooded. We can't really see their house without going into some trees and looking over the fence. So I don't think that's going to be anything anybody's going to notice coming down the street. And like I said, it's blocked off from the 2 yards right behind her. So
Yeah, I think that basically the intent is to be able to open them up
Right.
and be out in the garden and in that space, working in and out.
But I think with the grids, at least on the street side, that's going to tie it with the house better.
Yeah.
On the front elevation, which faces the street.
Right. I mean, I'd like to see it everywhere, but that would be, to me, that's the part that
The key.
people want to see that when you drive by.
Okay.
Agree with that? Andy?
Yeah, I'm good. Good with that.
Good.
Do we have a motion to approve with the changes?
Jill.
From Jill?
The changes.
Second from Mary Lou. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. With the changes.
With the changes.
PAR 2123.
The applicant has a storage building that has been in existence for a number of years. It now appears that the structure was built over the property line. And the new owner of the neighboring property has asked her to remove the portion of the building that is on his property. And so this is on what the look at the rear of the house. So the house is here, Webb Street up towards the front there. And so you have the garage here, which appears to be fine. Then you have this additional sort of shed roof structure here that is over the property line. And this is what that looks like. This is the garage, and then this is the other building that's in question. And so it's hard to see, but this is the her main house here, and then this is the shed building here. It strays over the property line a little bit right in this location. And so basically what is being requested tonight is to approval to shorten the structure so it is no longer over the property line. It appears that it may be 2 or 3 feet over the property line. And I've got a shot of the inside here. So from the inside of the structure, yes. So you see there's a line here. That is the approximate line of where it would have to come back to. It'll need to be verified out in the field about where exactly the property line is, but that is the length approximately of what we're talking about. And basically, the request is to shorten it up, try to reuse that rear wall and just bring it forward and reattach it at the new, what would then be the new rear of the building, if possible. If not, if they take it off and it falls apart, it would be replaced with like materials. So.
Okay.
Essentially, it becomes a demolition request at that point, shortening the building, an alteration to the building. I've used the demolition guidelines in the staff report. Wasn't really sure what exactly would be the appropriate language here. Again, I'm not going to read through all those, but that is the request, to shorten the building approximately that distance that you see right there, in the hopes of using the same materials and just shortening it up and adding, replacing that rear wall a couple of feet shorter. We would, of course, recommend that a survey be done to make sure we know exactly where the property line is. But outside of that, that's all from the staff report from staff. Happy to answer any questions you have for staff, and the applicant and the neighbor are here tonight as well.
What about the setbacks? Does that have any effect on this?
Theoretically, if you were building it new, be a detached accessory structure, it should be 3 feet off the property line. We can look at that, whether we would enforce that in a situation like this where they're trying to get it off of somebody else's property. And we can see how we would handle that. If we determine that that's necessary, then she would have the option to apply for a variance to do it just that far, but that may take some further research on staff's behalf.
Okay, so what we're here for tonight is to decide if we can modify this structure to bring the back wall in approximately 2.5 feet and reinstall it. Is that correct?
Correct.
Anybody have any questions or comments? It's not a significant contributing structure, and we're not demolishing the structure. We're doing a modification to it. Any comments? Concerns? Do I hear a motion to approve or disapprove?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Andy to approve and a second from Moyer. Further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carried to modify the building.
It will verify about the distance off the property line, if they're going to have to go the full 3 feet, or how we would handle that. So we'll get with the applicant and the neighbor to discuss that. So.
Okay, that concludes the public hearing.
The applicant for item 1 is here now.
Okay,
So if we want to bring that back up, we can discuss that as well.
that is BAR 2113.
Yes. This came before us last month. It was a roofing request. They wanted to do a new metal roof on the main portion of the building. New metal roof on the upper portions of the building here. We had talked about red standing seam metal roof. The board asked for a sample of exactly which materials she would like to go with, and then the board had questions about the color. The board did not seem interested in the red color, but seemed more interested in a black or like a charcoal gray color. With that, the applicant is here tonight. You want to share the sample here? The charcoal gray is acceptable to her and
Shown here.
color.
Yeah,
It's more like the one that's up here.
Is that,
Jeff, last month, the style of roof was shown to be a standing seam roof. This is not a standing seam roof. So is that changed?
You want to explain the roof material, and you want to come down and explain what the roof material is, and that material versus the standing seam, and that they have some questions about the roof. So this is sort of the pattern that she brought to us last month.
Yes.
Yes.
This is different than this. And
Yes.
so I guess they just want sort of an explanation of the differences and maybe from her why, I guess.
Okay, you want to speak to her? Basically, this here is like 17 inches wide, and this is 3 foot wide, and this is like 3 times as expensive. So the cost of that is way more. But basically, it's 3 times the material. So your master rib, the one that's up top is like 3 foot width, and then this only comes in like 16 inches.
Okay. So really, this is really what you're showing us tonight is this one here.
This one here. This is what we're asking
The
to approve,
master.
is this style of
Panel.
roofing in this color,
Not that color, the charcoal gray.
the charcoal gray.
Right. So last month we had talked about a gray color or
Okay.
a black color being more appropriate for the color of the roof material.
okay.
alright.
Okay. And there's a color chart on the back of that one too. So,
Well,
Well,
actually,
It is?
so this goes as a original roof, that roof. Let's do a barn, put a deck,
Really?
garage,
Looks like that.
just like that.
Huh.
I think that's actually what's announced.
Okay. So,
It's not what they
can't hear.
look,
We need to hear the conversation.
okay. We are looking at the charcoal gray with this change in the style of the tin roof panels. Are there any questions or concerns about those changes?
I think the color's more appropriate.
yeah,
I wasn't here last night, but I think the charcoal gray is more fitting for
Yes.
the era and the home itself, the property. And what is the difference between the one y'all were looking at last month versus the one they're wanting this month in terms of?
Essentially, it was this model here,
Right.
and they want to go with this one now. Apparently it's a large cost issue, among other things.
And this style that they're showing tonight is historic. I'm very familiar with a couple of structures that have original roofs on them from 1900. That same style. Any further questions or comments?
Well, you weren't here, but Billy brought up the point that the slope,
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to use asphalt shingles, but the slope is not enough
It's not enough slope for it to go off.
for building codes.
Okay.
Any further comments?
Good.
Motion?
So moved.
Motion from Moyer. Second from Mary Lou. All those in favor?
Okay.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Carries for the new style roof, charcoal gray. Okay. That concludes the public hearing. And we do not have last month's minutes.
We'll do 2 sets of minutes there.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Mary Lou, second from Jill. All those in favor? We are adjourned.